On Greg here. We were talking, from 1 Corinthians 3 in our time in our gathering last Sunday, and I wanted to bring that up in a new light here for us to, especially as we think about as we head throughout this day. And the first thing is that Paul was writing to the church in Corinth, where they were expected to be a little bit further along in their faith journey. They were expected to kind of start leading and start producing some of the fruit and discipleship that they've been talking about before. So these people aren't new to following Christ. But when Paul got there, he's like, whoa, I see some issues. And I think this relevates to us today. So if you look at it, and this is 1 Corinthians 3, verse 3, for you are still controlled by your sinful nature. You are jealous of one another, quarreling with each other. Doesn't that prove you're controlled by your sinful nature? Aren't you living like people of the world? And just stopping right there in verse 3, and we can continue on because he really kind of gets into this idea of, like, I'm a follower of Paul, I'm a follower of Apollos, and just acting like that prideful nature and that sinful nature. And then he gets into this idea of them all having the same goal and same mind. And it's not something new that Paul's written about. But what's awesome here is that Paul is literally like, look at your society, look at your culture. There's quarreling, there's jealousy, there's pride, there's anger, there's disunity, there's selfishness. You can go on and on and on and look inside this culture of the Corinth area and see these things. But that is the same thing that's happening in America right now. And it's not in America, in the world. You can go beyond into Europe and South America and see these things happening there too. But what I want you to notice and see here is that Paul is asking them to live in contrast to those cultures, in contrast to their sinful nature, because that is the kingdom of God. That is God's kingdom. And when we are called as Christians to live out our faith, and sometimes it's going to call us to live out into a contrasting worldview from those around us. However, but we don't do it with quarreling. We don't do it with anger. We don't do it with pride. What we do it with is humility, grace, and love, and faith. So I want to challenge you today to walk in those four. Walk in grace, walk in humility, walk in faith, walk in love. Because that is how we're going to live a contrasting life to this world. Because when everyone else is hating each other, the people of Christ are going to be loving every single person unconditionally. Have a great morning.